Hello, hello, family. How is everybody doing today? How are you guys doing? Tell us where you're tuning in from, please. Tell us what it is that you have enjoyed so far for Nubia Fest. What is it that you would like to see us put on the calendar? I know the calendar is jam-packed currently, but trust me, we can make space for events that you guys would like to see, that you folks would like to see. Sorry, Dima. Yep,
Yes,
that you folks would like to see. So let us know what it is that is currently missing from the calendar. Let us know on Twitter. Let us know by email, which is down there on the banner. Let us know on Instagram. Let us know by any means. Feel free to, add us on Facebook personally and send us a message. Whatever means you would like to get to us to let us know that there is something that we should add on the calendar, we are more than ready and willing to do it for you. Before we start this session, though, I want to show you guys one of my favorite videos put together by our very own. Other way. Nope. Which? Yeah. Okay. Put together by Dima. Okay. So here we go. I really, really like this video a lot. All right, awesome. So, the lovely Dr. Dima Mahmood, whenever it is that you're ready to share your presentation with us, please go for it.
Yes, I will. Thank you, Mazen. Maskagaro. Assalamu alaikum. Masai al-khair. Sabah al-khair. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you're tuning in from the world. I am so very, very grateful that you are joining us and tuning in with us this Nubia Fest, and specifically for this session to be able to share with you a little bit of what the Nubia Initiative is working on, has been working on, and will continue, inshallah, to work on, and how we can come together in protecting, promoting, and preserving our wonderful and vast and rich Nubian heritage. The presentation will be a little bit in Arabic and a little bit in English, because we have people tuning in from around the world. And as we are trying to engage the Nubian community specifically, Kalispera, Alexandros, yes, Kalispera, which is good evening in Greek. To those tuning in, please let us know where you are tuning in from. Alexandros, we know you're coming in from Norway at the moment, we believe, though Greek of origin. Family, wherever you are in the world, say hello in your language and tell us where you're coming in from. This event, this presentation is about the Nubia Initiative. And it is, please do forgive me if I'm a little bit nervous, if I'm a little bit all over the place, because there's a lot to cover, and this is a topic that is very, 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 very dear to my heart. My name is Dima Mahmoud. I am among many, many things, but first and foremost, I am Nubian from Sudan, and I am the co-founder of the Nubia Initiative. I am here to tell you, I just realized we have this presentation the other way around, and we don't want that. There we go. So you get a preview. And this is what I mean. It'll be a bit of a mess, but we'll get along, because hopefully you'll get to see what we're talking about. Match day from Switzerland. Yes, thank you. Yafet Tehando and Tigrinya. Thank you, tuning in from Maryland. Blessings, blessings. Thank you all for tuning in and joining us for this. As I said, my name is Dima Mahmoud, and this presentation is about the Nubia Initiative, and it is specifically geared towards highlighting and featuring how we create and co-create our events and our activities. Mazen, you nerdy Nubian. Security in Nubin. Thank you. How we design all our activities to be the bridge, not to build the bridge, but to actually actively be the bridge. First of all, between the community itself, whether it's the community on the ground and the diaspora, but also between the Nubian community at large and the academic world, for lack of better terminology. Hello, Dima from Canada. Hello, Wissam. Thank you for joining us. Let's see here. I am not sure how I can do this with the presentation. Voila. Okay. This is what we're going to do. I'm going to tell you a little bit about who we are, and then I'm going to tell you about how we have co-created these events to be the bridge. And then I will get into a little bit of the next steps, where we aim to go, a little bit of a 1, 3, 5 year plan, courtesy of my friend Julia, who told me to just zero in on that. That'll be the easiest way to communicate all the many, many, many things I have in my head, because you know what, our people are everything and we deserve absolutely everything. But to get there, we need to take baby steps. So here we go. The Nubia initiative leverages arts, academia, and technology to protect, preserve, and promote our endangered Nubian heritage and languages. How this came about is my sister, my older sister Delia, and myself have had 2 different experiences to be introduced to our Nubian heritage. There is one thing that was similar in these experiences, and it was disappointment, because we didn't know enough. And just as we are learning about it, we are also learning that it is disappearing, it is vanishing. How can we do something about that? How can we preserve it? How can we protect it from disappearing when we don't know the language, we don't know enough about the heritage, and we're not necessarily in the academic or scientific realms that allow us to engage with cultural heritage preservation as such? So we've decided to work with what we have. We've decided to leverage what we already know, be it arts, academia, or technology. So through that, we first and foremost focused on language revitalization, because for me personally, that was the trigger. I was at the University of Exeter attending an event as I was starting my master's there. And the great, great, great Professor Herman Bell comes to me and starts speaking in Nubian. And of course, I'm just like, what? He said, don't tell me you're not Nubian. I said, no, I am. He said, of course you're. Yes, you're Mahas. And I don't even know how you know that, but right, okay, yes, I am. He said, how dare you not speak your language? And anyone who's heard me speak about the Nubia initiative has heard me tell this story, because it quite literally changed the trajectory of my life. That one question changed everything. How dare you not speak your language? This is why I'm so very grateful for the work of linguists, for the work of Vincent. I'm so very grateful that Vincent is even having these courses. And if you don't know that he's having these courses, please go to our website. Mazen, I hope you can drop the link to our calendar again for them to see when these classes are granted. Vincent's classes are in Old Nubian, and we're hoping that we will be able to have more classes in Nubian, in modern Nubian, that you can speak with local people. But in the meantime, anything you can do to learn this language, do it. Please, even if you're not Nubian, do it. Because you know what? Nubian heritage is not just about Nubians. It's not just for Nubians. It's for the world. I took Herman Bell's question and I went home. And I was trying to really understand how someone could be so enraged and so heartbroken at the same time. And I stayed online in my dorm at Exeter University, just looking up what is this heritage and what is this language that this man is so angry that I don't know? And that's when I started seeing, just getting a glimpse. So our next area's focus is cultural heritage preservation, and it's in all fronts. And we focus on youth and community engagement and empowerment, research collaborations, international exchange programs, and the socioeconomic sustainable development initiatives that promote that, whether it's social entrepreneurship, innovation, just work with the community, and such. First thing we do is protect. How do we do that? Or how have we done this so far? We work with those who have been working on it, whether it is the archaeologists and the anthropologists who go and spend endless and endless hours digging these antiquities, digging our heritage that has been buried under sand or submerged underwater, who take the time to write about it, to inform about it, and hold conferences about it. In doing that, though, we realize that there's a gap. And I'll talk about that gap a little bit later. And I have to write this down because I will forget in my chronic distraction. If you're laughing, laugh all you want. That's okay. We've worked with organizations that specialize in protecting cultural heritage, to combat looting, to stop from the destruction of antiquities and heritage. And one of our greatest highlights and earliest partnerships was with the Antiquities Coalition, who focus specifically on efforts to combat looting. Now, if you're not familiar or don't know, I'm happy to share some of their statistics about just how much of antiquities, Nubian antiquities, are being smuggled outside of Nubia. And I say Nubia, and I use it, let's say loosely here. But when I'm saying Nubia within the context of the Nubia initiative, I mean we are focusing specifically on Nubia in Sudan and in Egypt, though thanks to Nubia Fest 2020, I will get to learn a whole new dimension of Nubians in Kenya, and I cannot wait for their presentation. Please check the calendar, find out when their presentation is, and tune in. This is also why we say Nubia transcends whatever borders, whatever superficial borders that exist right now. We connect on a people-to-people level. This is also why I should now say we are a non-political organization, and this is something that has given us quite a little bit of trouble, pushback, because by default, everything that's happened against Nubian heritage, everything, every attempt in deleting or erasing Nubian cultural heritage was political. And for now, an organization to say we are a non-political organization aimed at protecting, preserving, and promoting endangered Nubian heritage, understandably, especially with the older generation, it would seem like we don't know what we're talking about, or that we are, and I will quote here something that was said directly to me, brainwashed by the white man. It's not the case. That's not what we're doing. It's just we've seen what the politicization of our heritage has yielded. We have martyrs. We have a language that is absolutely dying. We have antiquities that are being smuggled, that are still underground, that are at risk of being submerged, if not by the building of dams, then by floods and infrastructures that are not properly prepared to serve and protect our people. So the politicization of Nubia and Nubians, as far as we're concerned at the Nubia Initiative, has not served Nubians or our heritage. So we're going a different route. And that's why we leverage arts and academia and technology. Because arts is something you feel. I don't have to convince you of anything. You will see a piece of art and it will trigger something in you, and that's that. I'm out of this equation. Academia is facts. And we need to learn how to deal and engage in facts. And then technology is the inevitable way of connecting in the 21st century, and specifically now with the COVID mania, and to which we are very grateful because it allows us to have such fantastic gatherings and unions like this, like Nubia Fest 2020. In working with organizations that work in facts or arts or technology, we do affect policy. We just don't do it politically speaking. So in learning from the Antiquities Coalition about the bilateral agreements or, my apologies, the bilateral agreements of between the United States and certain countries to combat looting, allowed us to say, hang on, why aren't Nubian antiquities part of these MOUs, these memoranda of understanding between the United States, and then realize, oh, the United States does have a memorandum of understanding with Egypt, so that if any antiquities were smuggled out of Egypt, the United States, through this memorandum of understanding, would allow it to go back. So why don't we have something like that in Sudan, especially considering the amount of antiquities that are smuggled out of Sudan? And in doing that, allowed us to go and have this conversation with the embassy. Are you aware that this thing is happening? Are you aware that there is this possibility? Are you aware that you can do something about the amount of antiquities smuggled, and so on and so forth? And then, of course, the International Conference of Nubian Studies, we go to where the academics are, where the scholars are, and see what their latest findings are and what we can do as Nubians to protect that and also to help their efforts. And then finally, we've joined forces with the EDFU Foundation and the Conservancy Corps, EDFU Foundation has an ECOSOC status with the United Nations, which allows us to go to the United Nations Indigenous Peoples Forum to raise the concerns and raise the issues that we as Indigenous people struggle with. Okay. Now, preserve. Remember, it's protect, preserve, and promote. For preservation, first and foremost, it is the languages. It is a language that is dying. And as I said, it was the starting point for me personally. And so our first partnership was with Nubia. And if you're not familiar with Nubia, please go to, Google Store or Apple Store on your phone or tablet and download Nubia app. It is an app, a fantastic app that allows you to learn the Nubian language in a modern and fun way, through games, through music. It'll later be developed into also having some form of promotion for Nubian entrepreneurs and handicrafts and such. How we partnered with them is that we realized they only had it in Arabic, so it was Arabic Nubian, Nubian Arabic. Now for the diaspora, as we said, we work with the diaspora specifically. Not all the diasporan Nubians speak Arabic or are comfortable reading or familiar with Arabic. So our first point of partnership was to encourage Nubi app to integrate the English version of Nubi. And we are a young organization. We don't have the funds. So this is something that my sister and I paid out of pocket to support this initiative, this app to grow. And we're very, very excited to later host them at our inaugural conference, which I will talk about later, and later to have them be featured at the African Union's handbook for excelling in education and innovation in education as well. We partnered with Vincent, who is one of the co-creators of Nubia Fest 2020, and with the Union for Nubian Studies, to work with SwiftKey on developing a predictive Nubian keyboard so that people can start writing in Nubian again. And I wish it's something that I can do, but I will get there. I am determined. And I'm very grateful to Mazen for the little bit of corrections and the words here and there that he is teaching me. And then finally, we are developing a database, a network for scholars on Nubia, Nubiologists, if you will, from the archaeological missions, from the departments around the world, independent scholars, and as I said, the Union for Nubian Studies through collaborative work like this, but also in creating journals and allowing for publications of academic and para-academic work on Nubia. The partnership we had with the Ancient History Encyclopedia was very similar, where we released a call for Nubian emerging Nubian scholars and emerging Nubiologists, a platform to publish their work and their findings on ancient Nubia. One of the other things that we did is field trips where, in this case here, my sister went on a trip to both Nubia, both in Sudan and in Egypt, and recorded elders speaking in the language, telling their memories, whether it's the memories of the forced displacement or just simply their favorite memories as children, just so we can hold on to the language. We're later speaking with the Streaming Museum in New York to have an exhibition where we are able to broadcast project these videos and these recordings in Nubian with the subtitles in English and Arabic, but specifically for people to hear the language, to know that this language wasn't just carvings on walls. It was and continues to be a spoken language. And hopefully it is our hope for it to be revitalized enough for us to go back to writing it as well. As it stands, we are not allowed to learn the language. We're not allowed to teach it in our schools, and we're not allowed to learn it. So if any parent wants to teach their child a Nubian language, it is on them. And more often than not, they are more inclined to have their children assimilate into whatever society they're in, to speak whatever language they're in, to fit better, for lack of better terminology. And then promote. What do we do to promote this heritage? We promote it between ourselves as Nubians, but also to the outside world. This here is an example of some of the events that we organize as the Nubia Initiative. This was Nubia Day, which is the 7th of July last year, where we were in Washington, D.C. This is Malcolm X Park. And we had a celebration. Now, this was a fantastic day, because although initially it was planned to be a full week of Nubian heritage celebration, and with everything that was going on, and specifically the timing of it, it was the 7th of July, and at the heart of the revolution and the mourning of the martyrs in Sudan, it didn't seem right to have a conglomerate celebration of a full week where we are able to plan this, because we were trying to support as much as we can. So instead we had a one-day get-together, a gathering for the Nubian diaspora, the Nubian communities in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area to come together. It was like a potluck. Everyone got a little bit of Nubian food. Whatever little bit of Nubia we had with us, we took. And we brought to Malcolm X Park, and we shared it with the local community. We had the drum circle at Malcolm X Park join us. We had some of the African artists join us, learn a little bit of the Nubian language, about Nubian heritage. We had them draw, we had henna, we had a photo booth. And just the sheer excitement and joy of people coming together under the banner of Nubia in celebration and in honoring Nubia was completely rewarding. and encourage us to do more and more and more and more. What else are we doing to promote Nubian heritage? Oh, I'm realizing that this is promote and not protect. So it happens. Oh, this was meant to be preserved. Yes, I will correct it as we go. This is family here. Okay. I mentioned what we did with Ancient Nubia, with the Ancient History Encyclopedia. The Ancient History Encyclopedia, I should mention, is an award-winning encyclopedia. It is the most visited digital encyclopedia on all things ancient, and it got an award from the European Commission specifically for that. So we're very proud of this partnership, but it also highlighted a gap in that we didn't get as much entries from people as we thought we would. Now, and I don't do labels, but as someone who is in academia, I understand the challenges of finding a place that will accept to publish your work. So for me, I thought, oh, emerging graduates or budding researchers would relish the opportunity, would welcome the opportunity to have their work published. But there was a very felt hesitation to speak with authority on what ancient Nubia is, specifically from young Nubians. And this is something we do want to absolutely tackle, and why we are very happy and honored to be working with the Union for Nubian Studies to see what we can do more about that. Another thing we're doing is we're working with archaeologists and Egyptologists and biologists on their efforts. And I am pulling out the names so that I don't forget any of them, because this was such an important effort for me personally, but I think it will serve larger for the Nubian studies and to protect, preserve, and promote Nubian heritage. A big shout out to Jasmine Smith, Shayla Monroe, Anissa Malvoisin, I hope I pronounced this right, Deborah Hurd, and Solange Ashby. Now, you have heard three of them yesterday, Shayla, Deborah, and Solange, at a fantastic panel. And if you missed it, go back and watch it. Mazen, I hope you can drop a link for that on the chat, just so it's easy for people to find what these fantastic women, and let me say ashe to the power of women one more time, these women have reached out to the American Research Center of Egyptology to suggest very strongly that that center take more serious and tangible and substantial steps to engage Black students and researchers of African ancestry, because there is a gap. And it's this kind of work that the Nubia Initiative tries leveraging and working on when we say being the bridge. It's not just about saying, oh, there's this research there and we can read it and we don't really have to engage with the people. No, if you're going to research us as a people, if you're going to research our history, if you're going to research our heritage, you are going to engage with us as a people. You don't come to our land, you don't come and see what our ancestors built, take some pictures and leave. That's not how that works. May have been how it worked before. That's not how it works now. That's not how it's going to be working moving forward. So efforts like this, we are absolutely excited and passionate and honored to be part of. So if you're doing any effort like this, please reach out. Our emails will be later on in the slide, but reach out to me personally. Again, my name is Dima Mahmoud. You can find me either on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Twitter, at the Facilitator. Another thing we did is with Pick Nubia, with TruePick, which is that partnership is unfortunately now over because they've shifted a little bit of how they work, but it was a great initiative using a geolocating photo app where you're able to take a photo and it'll tell you exactly where and when verified you took that photo. So what it did is allow us to track efforts of Nubian heritage preservation around the world. We're able to tell our friends and our partners, anything you're doing to preserve Nubian heritage, take a photo through Tupic, and then it'll show up on our back end, and we're able to create an interactive map of these efforts, specifically when it came to archaeologists being on the ground and preserving some of the things that, if you're seeing some looting or you're seeing some destruction, also taking pictures of these allowed us to say, okay, these are sites that are currently in danger, and this is what we need to do to mobilize and work on that. We presented alongside Trupic at Westminster University, along with Dr. Kirsty Rowan from SOAS and Deborah Green from Live a Moment, about the role of technology in cultural heritage preservation, which is another thing that's, again, central to our mission and in promoting this heritage. We do I just showed you the video of Nubia Day 2019. This year we held a Nubia Day, although for all things COVID, we held it virtually at the Nubia Initiative page. And at the time, there was quite a heated conversation online, I now call it the Kandaka Gate, about the issue of Kandaka, or the topic of Kandaka, and what that meant. And the best way to approach that as an organization that leverages art, academia, and technology is pause what we were working on, the panel of being this bridge, which is initially what we were going to work on, to calling on our network of academics to say, hey, can you help us shed some light into this issue? Here is the situation. Would you please come and share your knowledge about what a Kandaka is? So we had Vincent come in and say linguistically what Kandaka was. And then we had the history of the word Kandaka up until modern day Nubians, and the kind of engagement that we're able to get from the community, from our personal community as the Nubia Initiative, but also the extended circle of lovers of Nubia and enthusiasts, was fantastic. And obviously there's some what do you call it? There was some feedback about, I'm seeing Mejdi's, here we go again. I just went back to the StreamYard so I can see some of the comments as I go. And I'm sorry if I'm not acknowledging any of the comments as we go. I will go back to them, but trying to focus so I don't lose track here. The issue about, oh, this is being silenced, or we have been silenced, or that the Nubia Initiative isn't hearing a certain point or another, which wasn't the case, isn't the case, will never be the case. We've extended an information, we've extended an invitation to have this conversation, to have this dialogue once again, to go back and see where these issues are and how we can mitigate them, how we can come together and build, as opposed to engage in some back and forth on social media or beyond. And this is what we try and do at the Nubia Initiative at all times, not specifically for this Kandaka Gate, but for all times. If you have something that you want to learn about, that you're not sure about, that you've always had a question about when it comes to Nubian heritage, please reach out, because chances are we don't know about it either. And I'm being very honest. There's a solid chance we don't know about it. But you know what we do know? Well, first of all, we know God, and God knows everyone. But we have a network, the database of scholars on Nubia. And all we need to do is send out an email and say, right, who knows about this topic? Can we have a panel? And we'll have a discussion, and we'll all learn, because that's what we do. We learn to teach, and we have a lot of things to unlearn, a lot. This is what we try and do here. Now, we go back. We also got engaged with Africa Week 2020, some shameless advertising. So after Nubia Fest is done on the 19th. I have 1 day off, and then we start again with Africa Week 2020. Take a moment, check that site, the page out on Facebook. And it is connecting all that is Nubian with all that is African, because what started Africa Week 2020, why I started Africa Week 2020, was that I missed being in the village. I personally moved to my village. I left the United States December 2019, and in January, I moved to my village for the very first time. And I've fallen completely in love. And not to be cliche or anything, but I was home and it meant everything. And they were in disbelief and were convinced that I wasn't there to stay, and called me a liar a few times when I told them I'm there to stay. And when I told them I was leaving because I had a presentation to give as part of our partnership with EDFO and my being on the board with EDFO for the Commission for the Status of Women at the UN in March, and later the Indigenous Peoples Forum in April, they were convinced I wasn't going to go back. And if I tell you how many times I had to swear and promise and swear again that I am coming back, you could just see this question like, yeah, sure, we believe you, Hanbek. Ma raja. Assu ma raja, inti ma raja. Ikhwana raja. Wallahi raja. I'm coming. Mafi. And then COVID happened and the borders shut and I couldn't go back. So I was like, all right, I need to do something to connect and feel like I'm home. And okay, well, if I can connect with Nubians back home, why can't we do it with Africa? And this is another thing that's fantastic about being this bridge, because when you're being the bridge, you realize that there's nothing stopping you being the bridge in all directions. And that's what we did. And then how to promote it was with, the Kabajan Betani project. As I said, my village's name is Kabaja, and my work started this January to build a hub for the Nubia initiative there. We were, and are a transboundary organization. I said we are co-founded. My sister was based in the United Arab Emirates, and I was at the time based in the US. And neither of us were on mainland Nubia. And it's really important for us to have this center at home. And it was very fitting that it just so happened that we have a family home in Kabaja that was untouched and unused. So I packed my bags. My sister's still working in the Emirates, so she was still not at liberty to pick up and leave. I am more of a, let's say, free spirit. So I am able to, well, being a consultant, that is absolutely a free and wild spirit, I should say. But I am able to pick up and work from wherever I want to work, thankfully, alhamdulillah. So I picked up and I went to the village and I began converting the family home into a community culture heritage center and promoting it in every way we knew how. So right here is the photo, and it's rather small, though I will get to show you a little bit more of it, of the kids in Kabaja who built these little benches. They're called togo in Nubian, so I'm very proud of that word and I will use that word, which is like a sitting bench for the outdoors. And they picked it brick by brick from a photo. I'll show you later how we reached this point that you're seeing, but also by going to festivals and meeting people who are coming to see what Nubia is about and what Nubian heritage is all about, speaking to magazines about this journey here. The Covered is a South African magazine looking at what this heritage was and why this journey was so important. working with Brown Book magazine, having an issue specifically at Nubia, and obviously promoting the fantastic food by trying my best to learn certain recipes so that I can keep sharing them with my friends. Tara, if you are watching, she's a prime example of someone whose life changed once trying Nubian food. And again, a little bit more of what we're doing. Here is the photo I was telling you about. And this is how we plan on keeping to move forward. All these bricks were at the back of our family home. And these wonderful beings, as much as I was worried to have them pick any of these bricks because there are scorpions and insects and I don't know what, but also having lived in the West and being taking this the child labor and being very sensitive of child labor, when you really, if you think about it in this case, they literally fought me to help and pick up the bricks. Like they just sit there and like, we're not going anywhere. And I'd turn around to answer someone and I'd find them picking the bricks and moving and going and taking them inside. And you can see here, this is Walloya. And there is a disclaimer here. I might get extremely emotional in a little bit. But we agreed to avoid them getting in contact with the bricks directly and hence potentially getting bit by any of the scorpions, that I will pick the bricks, I will put them on the steps and they will pick them from the steps and they will take them inside. And these are the steps. And then you saw the final chair, the final product here. And this is my dad sitting with them, teaching them maths after their classes, after their school. How do we plan on moving forward? How do we plan on keeping this going? In our partnership with the with what is now a whole entity on its own, Africa Week 2020 is the Ubuntu Fellowship. And for a second here, I'm going to ask our first Ubuntu Fellow to get on the screen and give him a shout out. Yes, Mazen, I'm speaking about you. Yes.
Hello.
Voila.
I was like, who's this Ubuntu Fellowship talking about?
Mazen, can you give us a quick word about your experience thus far as being an Ubuntu Fellow for the Nubia Initiative?
Sure. So Dima asked me to be on a panel for Africa Week 2020. That was one of the greatest experiences of my life because one panel turned into a bunch of different panels, and those panels turned into me meeting some of the most amazing people that I have ever met in my life, who are doing amazing work across the continent and in the diaspora. So that's been a very beautiful thing. I'm learning so much. I'm getting to meet amazing people. I'm getting to work on really great projects. I personally wouldn't trade this fellowship for the world. So once Nubia Fest ends, Africa Week 2020 is going to begin. So I highly encourage you all to kind of go check Africa Week 2020 out and definitely check out the Ubuntu Fellowship.
Thank you, Mazen. What he didn't tell you is that he spent many sleepless nights for the work, whether it's managing the social media or the reach out for the wonderful scholars and the many Nubians that you are seeing get engaged with Nubia Fest 2020, whether through a presentation or just simply coming into the page and tuning in. And we're very grateful to have him. So one of the things we want to keep doing moving forward is just that. We want to have more fellows. The idea behind the Ubuntu Fellowship is, well, Ubuntu is Zulu for, oh wow, I am drawing a complete blank because I'm focusing on Zulu and the other word that you said, you thought it was Swahili, Mazen, didn't you? I am because we are. And it's at the heart of who we are as Nubians. We're not just, you can't just be one Nubian, just like you can't be an African alone, you can't be a Nubian alone. You are Nubian in your community. You are Nubian in your oneness with all that is around you. And that is why, and if you haven't heard that video or the recitation from Alexandros, that is why people keep falling in love with Nubia. Because once you've interacted or engaged with a Nubian, and I know they'll tell me not to generalize, but this is my personal experience. Once you've interacted with a Nubian at a level, then you understand this oneness. You're no longer a guest. You are one of the people. And in doing that, yes, Alexandros' love letter. As I said, we're a young organization. We don't have the funds to pay someone to do the work. We don't have the funds to have this fancy website that it continues to be up to date all the time. Our website is great in theory, and I thank my sister for designing it and putting it together, though it is currently an abomination because it hasn't been updated since it was built in 2017, I think. So helps a lot to have this Ubuntu fellowship, because while I can't pay anyone to build a website, I will take an Ubuntu fellow who knows how to build a website, and in return, I will give experience, and they will gain professional experience that later comes in handy, because what's happening now, specifically for graduates of African ancestry, is that, and I should say graduates in general, that you go and you intern somewhere and you end up just getting tea and coffee or writing endless emails or many things that are not in your field. It's not what you do. The Ubuntu Fellowship allows you to gain experience in your field, in your work, in what you do, and then have someone to say, yes, they know how to do it. We can attest to that. And although this isn't Mazen's field, Mazen is really a little bit of everything. He's a wizard and does it all, mashallah, mashallah alayh. And we're very grateful. Now, if we have any web designers, web developers, tech, anything tuning in, please reach out to us. Anything else you want to engage with Nubian heritage, you want to help protect, preserve, or promote it in any capacity, whatever you know how to do, please, please, please come through. The next thing we're doing to keep building the bridge is this Community Culture Heritage Center that I mentioned in Kabaja. Anything you know how to do to make this vision a reality, please connect with us. We'll be holding a Nubia Day 2021 in Kabaja. Hopefully, inshallah, all things COVID are gone and the land and the people are safe from the flooding. We keep them in our prayers. And if Nubia is ready to welcome us back, then I invite you all for Nubia Day 2021 in Kabaja, who the kids were so excited to have it for this year, and we couldn't because of COVID and everything linked to COVID. But they have a full plan, they have a full program and an agenda. And if I could, later on, I have some photos to share if anyone's interested in how they worked on doing that, how they said, we're going to have a play, one that is modern, one that is ancient. They're going to have a play about Nubian history where they will perform it in Nubian. And then I asked them to write a little tale that will be performed as a play, but it had to be written in Nubian. And to them, the idea that you can write the language was so alien. Like, what do you mean write the language? It's not written. Of course it is. Not that I could show them because I don't know how to write it, but I did have it as a font on my phone, so I was able to show it to them. And their mind was absolutely blown. So when I told them, right, so this is what we're going to be teaching in that class. This is what we're going to be doing. Do you want to learn? Yes. And to my surprise, just less than a week later, I'm walking around the village. I was going to my uncle's house, and the teachers in the from the school in the village can be like, what are you doing to these kids? They're all asking when they will learn the language and why they're not learning the language in school. And of course, the only answer is that, well, the school adheres to government rules and the government doesn't allow this language to be taught. And so now I have the teachers coming in to this class to learn how to read and write it. In fact, one of the collaborations we've had is with the Nubian, the Center for Nubian Studies that's in Khartoum, and they will come through and give a training of teachers, not just in Kabaja, but in neighboring villages as well, for the school teachers to learn how to teach the language, and then it can be taken and rippled through. That is the hope, inshallah. 4 is Nubia Fest 2021. I think we have the skeleton and the bones of how to get this done now with this experience. And we look forward to it being bigger and better and having more, and hopefully having more of the support, because while this is all free, and while the great folks at Cloud 68 have donated their time, we still do need to pay for the website, for the back end, for it to be on the website for at least another year. And that requires money which we don't have, money which we keep paying out of our own pockets, because we don't have a flashy logo. Oh, I was so going to put the banner in the back. Never mind, I have a picture of it in here, just to be a little bit more professional. But as long as we are a young organization, the big funders won't fund. And even those who might be interested in funding, the first thing they will tell us is your community invested? Have Nubians themselves contributed to what you are doing? Now I can say yes, because the people in the village have contributed. The people in the village are packing, are getting and gearing up to get involved with this. But beyond that, no, we've released a GoFundMe campaign 2 years ago. It was 2018. And it picked up just around the time where we did the conference. And that was it. And I think maybe a third of the people who donated were Nubian. And that's not very much, because we have a lot of Nubians in the diaspora. We have a lot of Nubians who say, oh, what can we do for Nubia and Nubian heritage? And then you give them a chance and they won't do it. We're trying to have this event for free, for example, for Nubia Day. Let's have this event for free. Can you contribute to help us get the food or the artists or this? No, okay. But if we have it for a ticket, will you pay for the ticket? Absolutely. But it's the same thing. Wouldn't you rather just pay ahead of time and have the event be free so that more people come and learn about this heritage? I think there needs to be a shift in how we do things, a shift in our mentality in how we do these things. And finally, the thing I am personally most excited about, and I will go full screen for this if my computer allows me. And no, it won't allow me to do that. Number 5 here is to have a certified virtual Nubian Studies department. If any of you tuned into the conversation we had yesterday, and if you haven't, again, I implore you to go back and watch the panel of the Nubian Past Scholars Building Community. Number 5 is the goal we have. It's our 5-year goal to have a certified, recognized, virtual Nubian Studies department that is not necessarily affiliated to any one institution, because Nubiologists are everywhere. They're all certified. And if this phase of all things COVID has shown us anything, is we don't need to be physically somewhere to learn. This right here is a prime proof of that. Nubia Fest 2020 and the information that I have learned from Nubia Fest 2020 is all here. You learn and it's all connecting. So our goal is to have a virtual, recognized, certified Nubian Studies department. And we ask for your help. You will tell us how you can help, and we will make this happen. Now, here they are. I didn't have a blackboard. This is the classroom. As you can see, the bricks are still in the back here. They made their little togos inside until we're able to carve the palm trees, the old palm trees, and make them into banabir, or little seats that each of them is so excited. We have the paint and everything, but we never got through to have someone carve and chalk the trees for us so that it's safe for them to paint. But each of them is so excited to paint their own bambar that they will be sitting in this classroom. And we didn't have a blackboard for that, so we used the floor. And they loved it. And this is what we do at the Nubia Initiative. We work with what we have. We didn't have a blackboard, but we have a floor. We have chalk, we used it. We used the chalk, we used the floor. And here they are writing their visions. At the top here, you can't really see it, was each of them was to teach me a word in Nubian. They'll write it and they'll write the meaning in Arabic. And then I'll teach them that word in English. And it's going to be an exchange. And just the fact that they were teaching me something, and the fact that, you know, they'll get up like they're used to in classroom, to stand up as they answer. And I tell them, why are you standing up? You don't have to stand up. Like, because we're in class. I was like, yes, but I'm in class too. I'm learning too. Do I have to stand up? And they laugh. And just a very simple shift in this engagement gave them, empowered them so much. They would go and they would ask their parents for new words, and they'd come back and be like, here's a new word, and be like, oh, but Asala taught me that word yesterday. Okay, we'll go back. And then come back with 2 words the next day. And it was so amazing. And when I was telling you they prepared for the festival, I don't know if you see the papers and the drawings they have here behind them. These were all their sketches for their vision of what their playground and the garden would look like in preparation for the festival, for them and the kids in the villages nearby to play in. And if you see the ideas and if you see the work that they have put into it and their excitement in making it happen, it was just so inspiring and absolutely empowering. And I can't wait till it all materializes for them, till they see it come live right before their eyes. Towards the end, it was exams and finals and so on. So the younger ones finished first, and then you have the Sanawiya and I'dadi and so on, the prep school, still late. But you have the middle school kids come through. He's like, what are we waiting for? Why aren't we already starting with this garden? Because we have to wait for everyone. No, we can start. We'll work with what we have, and then they can come and they can join. You know, we'll build here, and then they can do something else. And this excitement that they had, that they still have, I just hope and pray that it never goes away, and that we see more and more of it, because these kids are ready to be engaged. These kids are ready to protect their heritage, to protect what's theirs, and to make sure it doesn't go away. When I asked them here, if you see these blue lines, I've divided the floor into what Kabaja was before and where they want to see it going. So many of them wrote that it's empty. It's empty because people have left it, and people have left it because they don't see any hope in it. They don't see anything for them in it, especially my generation and older. They've left to find jobs and things abroad, and hardly ever come back. And if they come back for a vacation and they leave. And so when they were writing what they hope for Kabaja, is that it is filled with people once again. And that's what we're trying to do. That's what we're hoping to do. I forgot to mention that here I did say, in partnership with the HBCU graduates, the students of African ancestry here as also part of the Ubuntu Fellowship. But in coming to work, HBCU is historically Black colleges and universities in the United States, though this extends also to universities. I mean, this scheme would extend to students and researchers of African ancestries outside of the United States. But specifically with the HBCUs, because that's where I was personally based, is speaking with these graduates and saying, right, we're looking for people to teach, looking for people that, we just want to go to Africa. So tell us where you want us to be. We just need a roof over our head. We'll make our way there. We just need a roof over our head. And you need farmers, we'll farm. You need teachers, we'll teach. You need builders, we'll build. And it's so amazing, this connection, this urge to come together in oneness. It's so beautiful. And this is why I say over and over and over again, we are Africa rising, because there's no stopping us at this point. Finally, how can you help? Reach out, connect with us, connect us to people you know are doing similar work, connect us to people you feel would be interested in doing this work or can be doing this work or simply should hear about our work. And please, please, please help us raise money. We have a GoFundMe campaign that does need some updating and polishing, but I will share it. I will ask where it is, if I can find it here. We will drop it, and please share far and wide whatever you can do to help us preserve this heritage, to help us raise these funds to continue doing the work that we're doing. Like, we really have no idea how we would keep going if we don't have these funds. Yeah, we're working with what we have, but it'll come a point where it's not sustainable. And at the heart of our work is sustainability. We need this to be sustainable. We need it to allow us to keep growing our efforts, to keep expanding our efforts. So please share, 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 share. And finally, if you can't give money, if you're not comfortable asking people to give money, if you don't know anyone to connect us with, then just share the work we do. Like our page on Facebook, on social media, because then that allows us to say, look, there are people who are engaged, there are people who are interested. This is how you do it, and this is how you can help. Share our narratives, share why we do what we do, and share your concerns too. Share what you want to learn about. Share what you want to see happen. And with that, I say thank you. All right.
Dr. Mahmoud, wow, mashallah, what a beautiful presentation. There were a couple of questions that I saw here in the chat that I just wanted to go through to make sure that people are getting their questions answered. So we'll start with the most recent and then we'll just go down. Dr. Salma Haj Ahmed, who will actually be a presenter on Saturday, inshallah, had a question for you. She said, we want to visit the center you've built. Please tell us where it is. What is the address?
Oh, well, we don't have an address because Kabaj is not yet on the map. I will change that. It will be changed. We will be on the map. Every single Nubian village will be on the map with its own history and its own people. That is a promise. As long as I'm able to function and do it, that is a promise. Personally, I know I can't take it on the Nubia initiative, but this is a personal promise that we'll do it. We are in Kibaja. The center is not yet done or built. It was literally my family home. My father built this house for us to have a place to go to. And obviously being in the diaspora for many reasons, never actually gone back. So the house was there, closed, And I decided, well, no one's using it. I think we should. I think we really should. And I should say that was inspired by my mother and encouraged by my mother, even though she's not very happy that I'm not staying with her, close to her anymore. Thank you so much, Selma. I really appreciate it. You will find it. Kabaja is about an hour away from Dungula. It's not that far. Yeah.
That's actually the very next question. Where is Kabaja located? From our brother Muhammad Rashid. So he said that in Arabic, he wrote that, you know, the Mahasi people in Khartoum are all locked up. They don't get to go out much. So where exactly is Kabaja for a Mahasi from Khartoum who does not know his way or her way around Mahasi land? Can you give us the next biggest village that's next to them or next major city that's next to Kabaja?
Dungula.
Dungula, okay.
ساعة شمال دنقلة. 3 ساعات من البوردر مع مصر. That's all I know. That's all I can tell you. كرمة لا مش كرمة. لا, the Kufa's on the other side. No, ساعة من كباجة.
Perfect. Okay. Majdi was asking, how much does the training cost? When you were talking about a center in Khartoum doing trainings for people to learn how to write in Nubian, or teaching teachers how to write in Nubian so that they can teach their students as well.
It depends what you're asking, how much it would cost the Nubia initiative to hold it, or how much it would cost for people to be part of the to be trained. Which is your question? I hope you're still there to answer.
I believe he is. He was just there a couple of minutes ago, so we'll wait for him to reply back to that. But in the meantime, we'll go on to the next question. Dictora Selma said, no worries, we will find it, and we love your spirit. We will do it. And Brother Muhammad Al-Rashid said, thank you so much for answering about where exactly Kabaja is. Majdi is in here somewhere. He said he will reach out to you because he has an idea that he wants to run by.
An idea, yes. Well, in case you mean how much it would cost for the teachers to be part of the training, it will be absolutely free. This is what the Nubia Initiative is, and it's why we try to raise these funds, because we want to make these services free for Nubians, because this is how we be the bridge. This is how we become the actual bridge. We're not building the bridge, we invest, we become ourselves that bridge that connects them. And if we want Nubians to preserve this language, we need to be able to make it accessible to them. I can't be struggling to put food on the table and to gather money to build their own hospitals and their own schools, because that's what the situation is. Right now, my village has a clinic that was built brick by brick by the people of the village, a school that was built brick by brick by the people of the village, gathering donations. And so the doctor that we have in our village is paid for by the people of the village. The government doesn't pay for the doctor who is present in our village to provide medical assistance, whatever limited medical assistance. And if it's something that is more serious, then they have to get on a bus to go to Dungula. And if it's more serious, then they have to get on another bus for another 4 hours to make it to Khartoum. So if we want to be that bridge, we need to be able to make it accessible to the community. We need to be able to say, right, academics, Nubians, you're coming to study them, invest in them. You're coming to study their history, invest in them so they may assist you in preserving that history, because there is so much continuity. Despite what academia today will tell you or have you believe of some form of discontinuation of our vast Nubian heritage, it is simply not true. Professor Richard Loban was on an excavation in Abu Attila. It's a Russian-Italian-American excavation, I believe. And they uncovered an entire temple in its original painting in Abu Attila, a full temple in its original painting. And one of the pavements, if you will, I don't know what the word would be, had a python drawn. And the Nubian brother who was with them during this excavation, like taking them back and forth from the excavation site to their accommodation, took them a different route after that specific excavation. Said, I want to show you a different way. And he went and he showed them a house that had the python. Same python that was drawn on that temple over 2,000 years ago that no one had seen. It's that same python that's drawn on the house just a few steps away from that site. That continuity exists. It's still very much there. We just need to continue being the bridge, because the more academics come and tell and share with the local community, share with the Nubians, this is what we found out, this is what we know, this is what we say, we're able to say, oh, is there any link between this and that? Like when Solange was talking about the milk libation, and then we're able to say, oh, is this why we spray milk at weddings, like at our spouses, or our, you know, at the beginning of a wedding, at the entrance of this new phase of our life? Is there a connection between this and that? And that was exactly her response. This is why we need to be a bridge. This is why the academics need to be comfortable coming to the community, and the community needs to be comfortable coming to academia and holding one another accountable. It's very important that we're able to hold one another accountable and say, nah, we're not going to sit here and have you come and take pictures and take all this knowledge and go out and share it with someone else, only to have a conference that's 120 euros or 120 pounds for a Nubian or for anyone to enter. No, no. It's like the British Museum upon your entrance saying, oh, would you like to offer a donation to the British Museum? Our antiquities are donations enough. Thank you very much. Bring them back, then we can talk about donations.
Fire. We have two questions really quickly from Dr. Salma. She asks, when you say a Department of Nubian Studies, you mean in which higher education institution? Can you share more about that vision?
I mean to work outside the institutional framework, because institutionalization altogether is what is bringing our people as people of African ancestry down. It is what is holding us back. Institutionalization is a form that has limited the scope of how we do things personally. This is my belief. So we are outmaneuvering institutions. We are outmaneuvering institutionalizations. We are done asking institutions to acknowledge who we are, to acknowledge us enough to give us a space in their building so that we may bestow upon them the knowledge our ancestors instilled in us and left behind for us to learn from. We've passed that stage.
For those folks who didn't get that, that means Zoom University for a couple of years.
Not even Zoom University. With all due respect to everyone who is using Zoom, Zoom is another agent of the institution and will shut down your meeting if you are speaking of something that makes your government uncomfortable. So no, it's not even Zoom University. Nope. It's us university. It's a university, and I take this from Kamal, Kamal Grimes. If you're tuned in, yes, you really need to copyright this word. He started the university, which is a university based on the community, and this is what we're building on. Virtual. E-learning is where it's going.
So open access university.
1001%.
Beautiful. Dr. Salma also wanted to know if she wanted to reach out, or she has ideas about collaborations, or anybody who's watching this, how can they reach TNI?
I am writing the email.
Beautiful. Okay, let me pin that comment for everybody seeing that. So
You
everybody
can
watching,
pin?
oh, I mean, yeah, it'll just stay there. I won't take it down.
Oh, there you are. Okay.
For anybody wishing to reach TNI with any ideas, any collaborative efforts, just even want to have a conversation, ask a question, propose a topic, something you're interested in, there's the email right there. Feel free to reach that email, reach out to that email, and you will get an answer. And that is also the Twitter has also been posted. TNI is just Nubia Initiative on all its platforms except for Facebook. There it is, the Nubia Initiative, but everywhere you will find it at Nubia Initiative. And there's actually a very interesting story about that name as well.
Which I think we should say. This is an important segue. Thank you for pointing that out. And it's at the heart of how we are the bridge, because the conversation was, is it the Nubian initiative or the Nubia initiative? And we are 1000% the Nubia initiative, because what started this trajectory, although it was co-founded by two Nubian women, my sister and myself, what sparked that was non-Nubians being shocked at how us as Nubians don't know our heritage and don't speak our language. It is in so many ways honoring all the non-Nubians who have dedicated their lives and livelihoods in some cases to protect, preserve, and promote Nubian heritage. So this is why we are the Nubia Initiative. And that is also a reason that we have come under fire quite a bit, because, we are open to working with anyone and everyone who is willing to promote Nubian heritage, who is actively working to honor and celebrate this vast and rich heritage.
Beautiful. Majdi came back with a reply for us. He said, I was talking about how much it would cost for the students to be trained. So,
Free.
okay, Majdi, there's your answer. Free.com.
This is for the local community. I should say this is for the local students, for Nubian students. It is free. It is free. It is free. It is free. If academics, if scholars are looking to be part of this, if they want to learn for purposes of, they're doing field work or research work, that's going to be an element of the heritage, the Cultural Heritage Center that I didn't get into, because then it will take a different dimension. But it does have a side of translation, of language exchange as well, immersion, language immersion programs, and those would be paid through scholarships though, and our partnerships. That those would be paid at a very reduced rate. And again, if it's something that you'll pay, okay, we'll take it. We'll take it. And if you can find others who can pay, bring it, Majdi. We need it all. We need it. We have so much more to do, really, so much more to do, including agriculture, which I didn't come anywhere near. And it will be the closing video of this, where you will see it's creatively enhanced thanks to the creative juices of my older sister, who is a graphic designer and many, many things. But that's the photo, the base photo of that is me planting onions in my village. And it was such a fascinating experience. And I can't wait to go back and plant all other sorts of things. But here, right here, as we speak, we are planting some seeds, and I hope you will join us.
Majdi also wants to know, what did the python that was found in the house mean? Does it have any significance?
Yes, and that would require someone with far more experience on the symbolism of the python in Nubian heritage and Nubian culture. I think there is an element, there's definitely protection. It is definitely a symbol of protection. I know the crocodile is the secret keeper of ancestral knowledge, and the python was for protection, to my knowledge. I don't know any more than that, unfortunately. But I am happy to take that question and come back to you with a response from someone far more knowledgeable than I am from our database of Nubian studies scholars.
Actually, speaking of crocodiles, I saw a very cool video of Dr. Herman Bell talking about crocodiles, and one of the things that he says, "Ulumangi." So "angi" means like my uncle, or yeah, my uncle. Ulum is crocodile. So he says that in this video, he explains why Nubians call a crocodile Ulumangi instead of just Ulum, and it's because of the fact that we see the crocodile as a protector and as this older figure that teaches and so on and so forth. So it was a really cool video. See, Dr. Herman Bell.
Yes, yes, yes. Also, one of the projects we have, and Mazen is taking full lead on that, is gathering videos from Nubians around the world, just recording a line or two, a minute or two to Professor Herman Bell in recognition of the great work that he has done. If you or anyone you know has personally been touched by the work that Herman has done, please, please, please reach out. Please record a video so that we might make it together as a tribute for him. And this is yet another way we look to be the bridge between academics and community. It comes from both ways, and we just need to do all we can to be that bridge and to keep building.
So that is for Nubians and Nubia lovers out there as well. So,
yes,
yep.
Yes. Anyone who has been touched by his work, please, please do it. And if you are Nubian and you are able to, please, please record that video in our language. Please keep the language alive. If you are able to speak the Nubian language, please record this video for Professor Herman Bell in Nubian. It will make him so very happy.
All right, awesome. And then Medidris, one from Periscope, I believe that's through our Twitter.
Yes, through our Twitter.
Yes, thank you all so much for this amazing project. Fire symbol. So fire symbol
and flowers and flowers and flowers.
Yep.
Those are the seeds. They'll blossom and come out in flowers. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Next Nubia Fest, we need to see a presentation from you. You know, I tried cornering you and having you tune in with a presentation for this one, but you're too slick with the main. You didn't do it. I'll be waiting. Nubia Fest 2021 is coming.
Awesome. It doesn't look like there's any more questions. But again, if you would like to reach out to TNI, please reach out at info@the. I think you missed the.
Oh, of course. Yeah, I didn't put Nubia in there.
Yeah. So
this is why sleep is important, Mazen. This is exactly why sleep is important. So we'll put a video for 30 seconds while we correct that. How about that?
All right. To everybody who just tried to send the Nubia Initiative an email and it bounced back, we apologize. We've been up since very early this morning. But that is the correct email right there. It is info@the Nubia Initiative. And I see initiative is spelled correctly. I cannot spell that word to save my life. I have to sound it out each and every single time. But yeah, that is the email for us. Feel free to send an email with your ideas, with anything you would like to know. Anything.
Yes, please, and circulate that GoFundMe link that was dropped earlier. Any help is highly, highly and truly appreciated. And while this session is live and recorded, I'm just going to put this here to let you know you are on notice. This is your word and you're bound. Now you are bound to this word. We are going to be holding you to it. Come through with a panel.
Perfect.
Thank you all very, very much for your time, for your energy. You're all invited to Kabaja once all this COVID madness is done and we hold our Nubia festival. Mazen, thank you very, very much for all you do for Nubia, for the Nubia initiative, specifically for Nubia Fest, for being here.
My face is getting hot. Stop.
Mazin's blushing. Mazin, come back. Can I add you back to the stream just so we can say bye? But not bye. There. We will say see you later. Afia logo.
All right. Afia logo, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it. And
Alma, thank you.
And we'll see you tomorrow for another action-packed day.
Yes, yes, yes.
Take care.